everyone has a very different personality, everyone has a very different stamina in life, everyone has a different mindset, like their lifestyle choices, their goals, their overall philosophy about life is very different.
It takes a lot of courage to keep yourself steady in that direction because a lot of things make us vulnerable ki yaar nahi kar paper ek baar, like things like that.
I was so fragile emotionally, mentally, everything. I essentially started from scratch. I had no one in Bangalore, like not a single person I knew. For me to do that was like a very, very big step. So many of us are so restricted in our heads itself. यार सोसाइटी ने हमको ये बचपन से बोला तो यही है हमारा पाथ, लाइक इसके आगे हमारा हम नहीं सोचेंगे.
बाहर से बहुत क्रीमी दिखता है, बहुत अच्छा दिखता है कि in VC we're a founder, we're doing this, we're doing that, but it takes a lot of effort internally to be there.
We shouldn't always think like, oh, this is how it can go wrong, or like this is what can, like be bad for me, or we should not always have all the answers. We should sometimes believe in fairy tales, we should sometimes believe in magic.
Hey guys, welcome to the third episode of the Awaaz Podcast. Today we have Sanchi Oswal, where she talks about her corporate life, her working in the VC, as well as her new journey quitting Diaries. I hope you enjoy the podcast. Let's listen. Hey, hi Sachi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. It has been like a decent start to the week. I've had like two podcasts yesterday, okay, and I have like
Nice.
heard one that we're doing it today with you, and there are a bunch of other podcasts lined up in the week as well. But I have been quite excited to host you, okay, because I've known you as a friend for quite a while, okay, and I've seen how things have changed for you in the past 1 year, okay. It has been like a very topsy turvy road,
Yeah.
okay. It's just you, but it has been for a bunch of people who I have known personally, okay, and I somewhere feel one of your stories would be something which would possibly give me a different side of a point of view, and possibly a lot of others as well. Okay, but technically you've already put it out there on Instagram. Okay, but why not? We just try to bring the more raw stuff here, where you can talk about what led you to take those steps to turn towards a different direction in your own journey. Okay, and with that, I would love if you can start with telling everyone what is your background, how did you start, 2-3 lines about you professionally, how did you start, and what like directions have you changed, what journeys have you taken, and maybe 2 lines about you personally. That let's say not a lot of professional people might know in your day-to-day life.
Got it. Yeah, first of all, thank you so much for inviting me. Was looking so forward to this. I love doing, like, love listening to podcasts. This is my first podcast that I'm actually appearing in as a guest, and that's like amazing. So I'm excited to see how it turns out. About me, okay, so I studied bachelor's and I studied business in bachelor's, and then I specialized in finance over there. And after that, after college, I started pursuing CFA because job to koi acha mil nahi raha tha. So I was like, okay, let me just. I didn't know, by the way, what CFA was. Till the end of college. After college, I didn't even know what CFA was. And one of my friends was going to go inquire at a coaching class for CFA, and she was like, "Hey, why don't you come with me?" I was like, "Okay, let me come. I'll just see whatever." And I just went with her. Did not think anything of it, got to know about this whole new world of finance and CFA and this course and everything. I was like, hey, this seems interesting. Because I was already like, quite interested in subjects like those. So I was like, hey, why not try? So I started doing CFA.
While doing BBA or like after?
No, after graduating. Even after I got my results, I started.
Okay.
I started my level one after college, which is quite late according to a lot of people in general in society, especially in Kolkata. I know like people do it in college. While in college they complete all three levels. I have a friend like that who's done that as well, right? So I know it's pretty commonplace and very very general there, but for me it was very new. I did not have a lot of exposure back in college as well. and none of my family members knew all about it. And like my brother, my elder brother, is not in finance, so the overall exposure was not that much.
Okay.
So I started after college, started quite late, I would say. Even then, I still did not have enough exposure or experience or just enough resources to understand that, hey, I should be doing internship with this. Hey, I should be doing this with that, that with that. I did start an internship when I was doing level one, but I did not really like it. It didn't go well. It was remote, first of all. Secondly, it was more about sales rather than learning something very core finance. So I did not really enjoy it that much. So it was just a hit and a miss. And then after that, I did not choose to pursue any other internships. I should have, but in hindsight, I should have, but I did not do that. And I completed my level one and level two full time. I did not work. I was just studying and just taking a breather after college because while I was in college, I taught. I was a part-time tutor for 3 years throughout my college. I used to teach kids in my society, school kids in my society up till 10th standard. Everything, whatever they want. I've taught kids who were in kindergarten who used to like fall asleep while writing in front of me till 10th standard. So I've seen all levels of cuteness. And it was the best job I would say I've ever had till now. I loved teaching absolutely, and it was so empowering. Like, just shaping young minds like that. It was really amazing, and I loved that job.
Were they inspired by you, or were they like, "नहीं यार, मैम के पास जाना पड़ेगा पढ़ने के लिए"?
Both, I would say. Like, not many people used to call me ma'am, honestly. Most of them used to call me Didi or something like that. And it was both. It was a mix of both. I was a friend, but they also were like sort of a little scared of me. I had to maintain that because, like, I didn't want to be just another friend that they don't listen to, right? Like, so I had to maintain that status. So that happened. So after that, I just needed a breather after college. So I just thought, hey, why not just pursue CFA full time? Let my mind also take a break. CFA is enough studying anyway. So I started doing CFA. While I was doing CFA, after I finished my level two, I gave my level two exams, and then I appeared for interviews at Press got the interview, got the job. After that, I got my results for level two. And then the thing was that I got my job already, but my joining was over like 6, 8 months later. And I think it worked out well for me because my brother was getting married in that space. So I anyway was going to be a little busy. So it all
Right.
worked out well. I started my career in December 2019 at Trustista Financial Services, which is one of the leading KPOs in India. Worked in the private equity department there. In that also, my team was a little more exclusive. We had a separate cabin and everything. So, started my career there. That was like a proper, like my introduction to corporate because Trustista is a proper corporate. It's not a startup anymore. It's a huge company. So I started in December. I was there till the first week of March, and then COVID hit. So I had to move back home. I hardly got like 4 months of in-office work experience, and then I had to move back home and start remotely all over again. Okay, let's start this. And while I was in Clasista, I was also preparing for my CFA level 3 exams. My level 3 exams were supposed to be in June 2020. Because of COVID, they got postponed thrice. I had to study essentially 4 times to give the same exam because they kept pushing and pushing because of COVID. And finally, I was able to give my exam in November 2022, 2021, I think, yeah, November 2021. And I gave my exam. By that time, I was almost closing 2 years at Tresvista. And just before completing 2 years, I left Tresvista and I joined another company called TKN Advisors. This was a VC advisory. We were not a fund. We used to advise South Korean private equity and VCs with their Indian startup investments. So I always was super interested with VC and startup ecosystem and wanted to get into that, and I finally did. And gave my level three just immediately after joining the new company. And after that, did a couple of months work experience over there. And after that, I moved to Blockchain Founders Fund, which was, as you know, like a Web3 focused fund. They invest in Web3 related startups. So worked there for about 10 months, and yeah, then officially quit my job this year. And that's my whole story professionally. Personally, let's see, like I have a lot of hobbies. I think people usually know that people see me as very social, outgoing, and all of that. And that really came out when I moved to Bangalore. I moved to Bangalore in March 2022. And since then, I've been way more outgoing. I've been experimenting with a lot of my different hobbies. I've done crochet, I've done photography, content, cooking, a lot of things, right? So I have a lot of hobbies. I love reading, I love dancing. So that's one thing about me personally.
I didn't know about that.
Oh, I love dancing. Like I have danced, I think every school competition, every college competition, I have been there. I have danced. So it's like one of my more like passions that I've brought in from childhood, I would say. Like I used to go to dance class as a kid. I used to dance with my mom just at home doing garba and dandiya and whatever. And I used to go down during Navratri with my mom to just play garba, dandiya, all of those.
I guess the Dandiya vibe actually brings that whole full energetic dance vibe across. Not only like but I'll say it's everywhere around. Like even in my family, we do, yeah, especially play Dandiya like Gujaratis or like how they celebrate. But definitely, if there's a festival or something like that, we definitely want to go there.
I'll tell you a story. Like in my society, just after I gave my level two, like I said, I had that gap. I had got the job. I was done with level two. I had that good 6 month ka gap where I could do anything. So I was basically helping my family prep with my brother's wedding and stuff. But at that time, Navratri was there, right in that space, and a couple of aunties in my building, like in my wing, they were like, "Hey, we'll make a group and we'll because my in my society, like Navratri is huge. There are competitions and stuff, and very huge affair. Okay, like there are stalls like hundreds of like not hundreds, but like tens of stalls around food. There's that they'll sell everything. There's like a huge competition. There's like a big ass speaker, like a lot of things, right? And then we had those competitions and stuff. So the aunties were like, "Hey, let's make a group and let's take part in the competitions." I was like, "Hey, I want to do this year." Because I knew I was gonna go move out of the house once I joined Trust Sister. So I was like, "Hey, I want to do this one time." So I started that, practiced a lot, did all that, and guess what? Like we came first in the competition on the first day itself. So that was like really amazing, a lot of fun. So always been into dancing, honestly.
Okay, so you mentioned that moving to Bangalore was a very big step that like brought a lot of change. Let's say around you, within you, correct?
Yeah.
Uh, would you, as a person, suggest that a person who's at home, or let's say that they should move out because sometimes moving out or switching places might bring a totally different version out of you.
Mhm. I would definitely suggest that. Like, I am a strong contender and supporter of the fact that you should move out of your house at least once in your life. It doesn't have to be forever, right? Like, you don't have to just leave and never come back. At least get that experience. It teaches you so much more about life, about everything in general. When I was back in Pune, I've always, by the way, been a person who wanted to move out, so it's a bit different with me, sure. But even then, even when I was like so willing to move out and everything, I expected sort of what all experiences I would have or what all I would have to learn. But actually doing it is very different. Like it just teaches you and like opens up this whole new world of like life and responsibilities and adulting which you don't otherwise understand when you're home. And I think like that level of like freedom and like learning and all of that is really important in your 20s. You don't want to be dependent on your like mom or on your family for basic stuff, right? Like I'll tell you, like I did not even know how to use a washing machine at home. Like I did not know how to operate because my mom used to do it. My maid, like house help, whatever, they used to do it, and I never knew like that how to do that. So when I moved to Bangalore was the first time I learned how to operate a washing machine, and that itself, like it may seem very silly to a lot of people, but little things like that empower you a lot. This is little thing, but there are big things also. Like for example, when I came to Bangalore, I know a lot of people otherwise have their friends, their cousins, relatives, a lot of people in Bangalore. But for me, I essentially started from scratch. I had no one in Bangalore, like not a single person I knew. So starting from scratch in a new city, making new friends, making a circle that you trust, handling your own job, your own life, your own responsibilities, living alone, paying rent, paying bills, uh, looking after groceries. Just there's a million things that you wouldn't otherwise do when you're at home, but when you start doing that outside, you just learn so much and you feel so empowered. You feel like, okay, now I can do anything in life. I think that's why you should definitely move out at least once.
I guess this part of what you mentioned is a lot about small wins, correct?
Yeah.
Like I learned how to wash my clothes, learned how to just make my bed or things like that. Those are small wins that possibly can empower you. Sometimes make you feel great, and possibly that can lead to uh, you making better decisions in life as well. Correct.
Yeah, true.
But let's like travel back a little. You mentioned that you had done quite a bunch of jobs. Okay, before that step to start a whole new journey. Okay. Um, from what I see, you have had a wholesome experience of the whole investing space where you have been into private equity, you have been into like let's take venture consulting, you have been into actual operations of a venture firm as well in the emerging Web3 space, right? And then like totally dropping all of that to switching into a whole new direction, right? Would you say that there were times of burnouts, let's say mental fatigue, work stress, a lot of let's take things that led you to like give up, like Sachi, I don't want to do anything. Like that was you were feeling it that way. I don't want to do anything. I just want to give up. Okay. Were there any phases like that? And is that something that actually made you feel demotivated? Because sometimes it just takes a good amount of self doubt that hits you rock bottom. Then, correct? Uh, so if that's there, would you want to share something around that?
Sure. I mean, you hit right the nail right on the spot. It has happened with me almost, I would say, throughout my professional career. I'll start with my journey at Trust Vista, right? Like when I joined, as everyone knows, like everyone who knows Trust Vista knows that it's quite rigorous. There's like a lot of um, training that first of all there are first 3 weeks of training which is very very rigorous. They call it like Wall Street type of training. They actually like famously call it that because it's that strict and that tough. Like you have to be on time, you have to complete stuff on time, you have to pull all-nighters for a couple of projects which take a lot of time to do. So that it started with that, and even after that, like when I was doing client work as well in my team, there used to be nights where I used to work till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. as well. So I have come home after work at like 3:34. So, those were the times I was like, hey, like I was already starting to get tired within my first few weeks, first few months, because this was very new to me. I had never pulled all-nighters in my life. I'm a nerd. I'm a huge nerd. I've usually always stopped my school and college or whatever, but I've never pulled all-nighters. I never study at night. Like it's 9:30, 10 p.m. My books are closed and I'm gonna chill. So I never like studied at night. So this was a complete new like revelation to me that oh ऐसा भी होता है. And then after that I started getting tired, but still it was manageable. After it started becoming remote, things still got better because I was anywhere at home. I could like have a lot of comfort around me. My mom can cook me, bring me food. Like I didn't have to manage my own stuff anymore. So that was good. But then like as I mentioned, right, like I was preparing for level 3 when I was at Westchester.
Right.
So having that exam cancelled 3 times is like such a pain because you have to constantly keep preparing. And then suddenly, just 1 month before the exam, they used to tell us that hey, exam is cancelled. So like all the prep time, all the mental stress, all the work-life balance, ka everything, management, putting that time to study, putting those hours to study. For almost like 1.5 years, I had to do that constantly 3 times. On the fourth time only, I was able to give the exam. And by that time, I was so exhausted mentally, physically, with work, with everything around me. Like my parents and I had got COVID, by the way. This was in April, second wave, summer of 2021. My parents and I got COVID. My dad got it really bad. He was in the hospital for like 2 weeks. So a lot of things happened, right? And that after that time, by the time like the exam came, I was so fragile emotionally, mentally, everything that I was like, बस now ये exam तो मैं दे रही हूँ. मतलब through all my energy, strength, I'm taking that and giving it to the exam. But after that, I was like essentially broken. Like I was, I used to get, but I think like that triggered my anxiety as well. So made me so anxious that whole like journey. I used to just break down very easily in life. Like anything happened, minor inconvenience happens, and I start crying. And just overall, I felt like something inside me broke. Like I just couldn't like get myself together, that kind of feeling. So after then, like I started therapy. Even after that, I moved to Bangalore. Again, that was a very new challenge. I wanted that challenge. I absolutely wanted to move out and move to Bangalore. It was an experience I was very much looking forward to, but still, it doesn't make it easy, right? So I came to Bangalore. Things got still, more difficult because I'm again working remotely. I don't have a team to work with. I am a single person team in that second company, so I'm essentially alone. I don't have friends. I don't have family for the first time in my life. So all of those things started happening. So again, like all over again, I've faced a lot of mental stress, burnout, with that. My third job, Blockchain Founders Fund, worked there. Again, the whole thing was working remotely, very hectic. Learned a lot of new things, was constantly like learning and doing things. There was a lot of time difference there as well because the team was from Singapore. We have team from US, Singapore, a lot of different areas in the world. So the timings were quite like, wonky at that time at that time.
Correct. Yeah.
Now it's, I think, still like stabilized, but when I was there, there have been days every Friday I had to like start my day at 5 a.m. and be on the meetings because like there was that kind of time difference and stuff. So a lot of times throughout my professional journey, I've had those times of like burnouts, mental stress, exhaustion. So yeah,
Do you
it's
think
very common.
the reason that made you take the step to start a whole different journey of quitting and then starting everything from scratch again?
Yeah, I mean, sure, like working so hard or like having so much burnout, mental stress, and all of that is definitely a reason. And I think uh, before that, let me take a step back and like tell you that everyone has a very different personality, everyone has a very different stamina in life, everyone has a different mindset, like their lifestyle choices, their goals, their overall philosophy about life is very different, right? So some people love, working so hard, and I think like I really like those people and I really admire those people because I'm like, hey, like this is so cool, like someone working or hustling so hard. Because I know people like that. I'm surrounded by people like that. So no offense to them, of course, but for me, I was like, hey, like I think I want a life where I can do both things. Like I can do work, I can work hard, I can work smart, I can be ambitious, but at the same time, I want to have some time of my own, some priorities of my own, some goals of my own outside of work. Like I didn't want work to become my whole identity, right? So that's one thing. And secondly, I didn't really get to do any work that I really wanted to do throughout my 3 years. My core interest was always investments. I wanted to really be on the ground and analyze startups and make deals happen and all of those things. But due to a lot of reasons that I won't get into right now, it'll take a lot of time. But somehow, like I couldn't like really work on that role. I was always into those other different roles because of my finance background. I was more towards finance, ops, and all of those other things. And the investment part never like I never really got to do that. So ultimately, it was a culmination of both these reasons that hey, I'm also not getting to do what I want. Plus, even after that, I'm working so hard and like burning myself out. If it was something that I really loved, if I was doing a job that I really loved, I would have, I think, hustled for a few years more and been like, hey, take I at least love my job.
Correct.
Matlab, I
Correct.
have to do 16 hours, but I love those 16 hours that I'm doing. If that was the case, I would have continued. But even if the other way around, right? Like if the job is shitty, but the work is like just a standard 8 hour work day, very constant, very certain like timings and like fixed timings and everything, I would have still made it. I would have been like, hey, like I have my life outside of that and I'm happy. Like work doesn't have to be always the best thing in the world for you, right? But it was neither for me. So that is why I chose to quit.
But yeah, like I'll just clarify everything for like whoever's listening. It's not about the specific companies that you're talking about. It's, I guess,
Exactly.
for every person.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Exactly.
It may not just be across, let's say, the companies that you mentioned, but I have across almost every friend that who's currently working, let's say, a corporate job or things like that. They have been like it's too much, okay, and it's not wrong if they are fine with that journey. I feel that's totally okay, okay, because that's their part and parcel of life, right? But sometimes we come or like let's take jump into situations or possibly sometimes are put into situations where we don't feel ourselves. It's basically like we're just killing ourselves inside and to get out of it. And somewhere I think that you took that step, correct? I would want to know what was the mindset behind it, okay? Because somewhere it's a crucial moment in your journey, right? And what mindset did you have that nahi ab to ye karna hai, ठीक है? Because the reason we know, okay, but what was going on mentally as well? Because see, there we come from, everyone comes from, like, let's take, we have to answer to our parents, okay? We have to talk, like, we sometimes be, like, let's take responsible for things for ourselves and around as well. Definitely, there are friends and family who can support us, but sometimes we have to, stand in upfront to ourselves and talk to ourselves as well, right? So, what was that particular mindset that you kept in mind? Ki nahi, I have to change my current scenario, and this is how I'm thinking right now, and this is how I'll lead it.
Mm. I think, first of all, I just realized how unhappy I was for a long, long time. I was going to bed all sad and like sometimes crying, and I just used to feel very sorry about myself, and I did not like that feeling. I didn't want to feel pity, self-pity, or like, sorry about myself or my situation. I was like, yeah, I'm in control of my own situation. But yeah, like I wanted to stop feeling sorry for myself. First of all, I didn't want to feel sad. I wanted to feel more in control of my own situation. That is definitely number one. Secondly, I felt like, I'm 25. Life, I'm not very young, but I'm not very old also. And if I take this step a little later, if I feel like, hey, let me, just wait it out. ठीक है, हम देखेंगे next year देखेंगे. Like I'll see after 2 years. If I'm still unhappy, I'll do it. Like time was flying by, time was passing by. I was seeing everyone else around me doing so many new things, the pressures of being 25, right? Like I'm seeing founders who are 22 years old right now, and I'm seeing angel investors that are 24, younger than me. And
Yeah.
there's still a lot of pressure, right? So I was like, hey, I'm still 25. I'm still not very, very late, but I'm not also very early. So now is the time I do or die. I either take that step or I just don't. And I thought I wanted to do that, and it took a lot of strength, courage, patience. But I came at that point where I was like, I do it or I just regret it like 1 year later, that why didn't I do it sooner? Because that was happening with me even that time. I was like, hey, why didn't I do this sooner? Why didn't I think about this sooner? Why didn't I change my like, mindsets or like whatever, like my journey sooner? But then I was like, hey, I don't want to get into that same whole like mental like vicious circle 1 year later. So let me
Right.
take that step today, and 1 year later, let's see what happens.
So for you, it was like train का ticket हाथ में है, train भी है,
Exactly.
पकड़ लेते हैं नहीं तो छूट.
Exactly.
But see, I guess we've spoken about this earlier as well, that it takes a lot of courage to keep yourself steady in that direction, because a lot of things make us vulnerable कि यार नहीं करते but एक बार, like, things like that, okay? Was there a point where your mindset played a very important role, okay? Because sometimes you have to self assure yourself as well that this is right for you, this is the right path for you. So was there a point, and if there was, do you have, like, do you want to share something around that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would just give you an example from my recent past. The day when I uploaded my first quitting diaries video, right? Like the day when I uploaded the first video, which went viral, basically. Um, it was a big thing to for me to do that. I'm a very private person in general. I didn't really ever usually post much about my success or like my achievements or this or that. I never usually used to do that. On Instagram, my content was limited to food or like wherever I'm going, and just like bakchori, basically. I did not upload anything like of substance or of like very vulnerably, like, very real life stuff or anything like that, right? So for me to do that was like a very, very big step, but something inside me was pushing me, like, hey, you have to do this, like, you have to document your journey. And like, I don't know what, I can't explain what kind of energy it was, but something inside me was constantly telling me to do it, just go ahead and do it. So that uh, day when I did that, it took a lot of mental courage and strength and everything inside me. I had to just like to put it out there in the world. My account was public at that point of time, so anyone could see it in the world. So to put it out there that I quit, that I've done therapy, that I've like changed 3 jobs in the past, that I've done this or that, like a lot of things to do that. Like that was a huge thing. But then the mindset that kicked in, the mindset that you're referring to, it was basically, hey, like what is the worst that's gonna happen? Like people will talk about it if they want to talk about it. First of all, most people don't care. Most people are like swipe kar denge. Secondly, if people want to talk about it, they'll talk about it behind my backs. Fine. I'm not gonna know what they talked about, so I don't care, or it's not gonna matter to me. So why do I care again? And thirdly, even if they talk in front of me or whatever, they are gonna ultimately forget it and move on. They have their own lives. How many times do you think about a video that you saw on Instagram? You just see it, you get entertained, you forward to 10 people, and like you move on, right? Like you are not gonna think about it after 10 years that, oh my God, I saw that reel. Like, so that mindset, when that kicked in, that changed my entire like whole mindset and like that dynamic about me and Instagram and how should I post, what do I do. That kind of consciousness just went by a little bit. I was like, hey, just put it out there. What's the worst that could happen? People will forget, people will move on. So having that mindset and then putting it out there, and then the whole quitting diaries journey starting out was, I think, like one incident which like really affected me.
Right. So, see, quitting diaries was, let's take a step because you had to take care of your well-being mentally mostly. Because physically we can do exercise, things like that, go to the gym, and possibly that works out. But there is no particular way to, let's take have a proper, let's take structured manner to take care of your mental well-being. Right? Were there any specific habits or something specific that you did, okay, to take care of your mental well-being? Like I personally, I sometimes just sit and talk to myself to understand my own thoughts. Okay, sometimes I write them down. Sometimes I journal. Sometimes I, you know, practice various things of spiritual practices like gratitude and forgiveness. There is mantra chanting, things like that. So, were there any practices that you personally did that made you realistic, sustain, and come out of these phases?
Yeah, I think a lot of things for me as well, very similar to yours. I love journaling as well. I really like writing and putting down my thoughts because it's a way of brain dumping and it takes everything out of my head, and I think that works really well for me. So I love writing things down. Secondly, I love talking it out. Like I love talking to people. I love like I have my close circle of friends and family that I will talk to all about it and like talk about this like one thing that's bothering me even 10 times. Like I will talk about it. I'll just like पूरा उसका postmortem कर दूंगी and then I'm like okay, I'm ready to move on. So that is I think one thing that really works well for me, that when I talk about it with people, hear their opinions, look at it from 10 different perspectives, and then it's like, okay, now I know how to like deal with this, and now I know how to move on. So that's one thing. Meditation definitely helps. Last year, there was a point of time where I meditated for like consistently 60 days or more than that, and there was a very, very clear shift in my mindset. Like I was way more relaxed, way more in control of my emotions, way more in control of my anxiety, and I think that really helped. I stopped after my job started at that time because I was very busy with my job and everything. I didn't get that headspace to get into meditation again. But I've recently started that again this month. What, it's like 13th today, so I've been meditating for more than 13 days now consistently, and I think that's again really helping me a lot. So meditation is definitely one. Exercise, I used to love exercising when I was back in college. I used to go to the gym every single day. Like I was a gym bro. And I stopped that once I started working. So I would say exercising is a little bit topsy and turvy for me, all 3 years of my professional career. But recently I've started doing that again. I've started reconnecting back with my love for exercising and gymming. So I think that really, really makes a difference to my mind and my body, because ultimately when my body's happy, my mind is happy, and those happy chemicals that exercise releases, like I think that really helps. So a couple of things like that. No one thing, but yeah.
Is getting proper sleep was one of the most important things.
You know what? Very good question. Last night I slept more than 9 hours. So definitely yes. Yesterday, in fact, I don't know, I was feeling very run down and very tired. I just made a decision to go to sleep at 10 p.m. I actually would have gone sooner, but I just wanted to watch like a little bit of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So I was like, okay, let me just watch a couple of episodes and then I'll sleep. So I watched that and then, yeah, I just slept for 9 hours last night and I feel really good right now. I feel way more energetic. I feel way more well rested, I would say, and like more productive, more able to think clearly, all of those things. So definitely like getting a good night's sleep. And as I mentioned, right, like I don't do all-nighters ever. Like I don't
Right.
really like that, and I've never been like that. I know a lot of people do it for college, for studying, for work, a lot of different things, and a lot of people are like that. They call themselves night owls and night person or whatever. I mean, if it's working for them, great, but I really honestly don't know how they work like that out because for me, sleep is like the most important thing. I can sleep anywhere, anytime. So yeah,
Okay. So from what I understand, there have been times that you have taken decisions for yourself as well. That this is necessary for me, and I have to shift it at any cost. Okay. Somewhere I see that you possibly are choosing the way you want to live your life. Correct. So with that, if someone had to, let's take the same steps as you did. Okay, let's take try out the career for, let's take 3 to 5 years, and then start something of their own. Okay, or anything around that. What would you like? What would be the steps that you would recommend that they should do? That's one. And what is that one advice that you would want to?
I would say honestly, in terms of steps, it looks so different for everyone. This is a very subjective thing that we're talking about, right? Like everyone has a whole bunch of different circumstances and background and experience, and their responsibilities are different. So I wouldn't say there's a very fixed template or like a cookie cutter kind of model that you can follow and do what I did or like do anything that anyone did. In life, everyone's experiences are different, and I don't think when people say, "Hey, how can we be like you?" It's a very wrong question, I would say, because it's not ever going to be the same for anyone. Like your path and your journey and your story is always going to be different from me and what I did. So I think in terms of the advice that's I guess like a better question. I would say in terms of advice, don't say no to anything. I would say like just be open to new experiences, new people. Like as simple as getting added to a random WhatsApp group. I'll tell you, like in Bangalore, I've been added to this one. I got myself added to this one book club kind of club, a WhatsApp group, and from that there were like 10 other groups that came out related to movies. Like FAQs, this, that, and I'm learning so much from those different groups. And I even met a group of people to play poker. Exactly, I got added to a poker group, and I like met these like strangers over WhatsApp and went to like somewhere and like just taught them how to play poker. So it's just as simple as that. Like I would have never opened myself up to that experience if I had not added myself to that group, or if I had left that group just early. Just something as simple as that, like saying yes more, saying being open more to new experiences, opening your mindset. Like I think so many of us are so restricted in our heads itself. यार सोसाइटी ने हमको ये बचपन से बोला तो यही है हमारा पाथ, लाइक इसके आगे हमारा हम नहीं सोचेंगे. But like I usually always try to challenge that. I'm like, what is beyond this? What is beyond that? Why can't I do this? Why can't I do that? Like beyond whatever I know, like I want to always like challenge my thoughts. Even as simple as making friends, right? Like we are often told by our parents that hey, like don't meet strangers, friends banana hai to bhi, like you should meet like in mutuals. You should take someone to with you to meet someone new, and a lot of little things like that. But a lot of times, like you want to challenge that, right? Like of course, being safe, not doing like illegal stupid shit, but being safe and like trying out new things. I downloaded Bumble BFF just to make girlfriends. Like I did not have any female friends in Bangalore, and I was really missing that because I have a very good, strong female close friend circle from school in back in Pune. So when I moved to Bangalore, I didn't have that, and I really wanted that. So I just started using Bumble BFF, and through that I've been able to make some really good friends. So, like things like that. Just say yes more, try out new things. If you fail, you fail. You're just still young. You don't have much responsibilities. You don't have much liabilities. You can do anything you want right now. So, I would say, yeah, just say yes more, try out more new things. and take risks.
Yeah, like from what you said, I see if we had chosen the path of not making strangers as friends, we would never have been friends ever.
Definitely. Yeah.
Right? Came from like a background where none of us know each other. Okay, it basically we're just in the same industry, and that's how let's take how things unraveled, and
Yeah.
now, now we're here. But keeping that in mind, see, from what we have spoken, my goal here is to just focus on telling people that बाहर से बहुत creamy दिखता है, बहुत अच्छा दिखता है कि in VC we're a founder, we're doing this, we're doing that, but it takes a lot of effort internally to be there, correct? So, what do you, if want to say to someone who's actually aspiring to be one, let's say not a founder, but just aspiring to start something new, okay? Um, what would you say, what it took you mentally inside you, okay, to start everything in general, from start working in corporate to jumping to a whole new journey, okay, to following your passion of traveling, things like that. So, what it took inside you mentally to be there?
Mhm. I think a little bit of self-delusion is something that everyone should have. Not every, like we shouldn't always think like, oh, this is how it can go wrong, or like this is what can, like be bad for me, or we should not always have all the answers. We should sometimes believe in fairy tales, we should sometimes believe in magic. I think like that's a very basic thing that we've forgotten over the years that we've grown up. And having that sort of like self-delusion and also self-belief along with that, that hey, like whatever happens, I'm gonna be all right, and whatever happens, I'm gonna be like, I have itna belief in myself कि यार मैं ये तो इतना तो कर ही सकती हूँ.
Ah,
Like that main like attitude and that confidence, that is very important. And like being as self deluded that ठीक है, if I start this कल को मेरा ये हो जाएगा. Like some people would be like अरे यार, you're so naive, like what, you're already like assuming that तेरा सब ये सब हो जाएगा. But people who believe that, who dream like that, उनका ही होता है. And people who are constantly like यार ऐसा मत सोचो यार, मतलब think in your like limits, don't like think so big, nothing is going to happen. They are the ones that usually don't really take a step outside of their comfort zone, and they're still stuck. And then they comment and comment on your pictures and your videos saying that hey, like yeah, you just are like privileged or whatever, like a lot of things, right? So
right.
these are the people that do that. But people who really believe in like something bigger, something better, in the magic of the universe and in the magic of their own life and their own destinies and fate, I think having that belief and that confidence in yourself and in the magic of the world and the universe is very important.
Definitely. You know what? I totally agree with so many things that you have said in the entire 40-45 minutes that you have spoken. And we so align with so many things that come in place. Let it be journalism, traveling, trying new things. Let it be like not limiting ourselves to, let's take that cage, okay, and every time being a person who can explore things. With that, I'll just come to one part of our podcast where I'll ask you a few rapid fire things, and whatever comes first to your mind, you can just put it out there, okay. So let's go with that. What habit that you have kept intact, okay, that has helped you through your journey? One habit.
I would say journaling for sure.
Okay. What is that one book that you would recommend anyone to read?
Does it have to be one? Can I say two?
Why not three?
Okay, I'm gonna say two for now. First of all, of course, the Almanac of Naval Ravikant, like classic. Everyone in the world should read it. Be it like, even if you're from an arts background, you never want to do business, you never want to do a startup. It's not even related to that. A lot of people mistake it for being very business oriented or startup for just for like startup or VC folks, but it's not that. It's just so much about life and all its learnings. I think definitely must read. Second, very interestingly, is Humans of New York. It's the book, the Humans of New York book that you get on Amazon. It's a gold mine. Like anytime you feel lost, anytime you feel like your problems are so big, your problems are bigger than yourself. Like a lot of times you lose that perspective. You're so deep into your own issues. Um, you often forget that there are hundreds and thousands and millions of people around us who are going through something so similar or something so different in their life. Be it better, be it worse, be it anything, right? They have 10,000 different stories. And when I read that book, every page I read, I'm like, man, like this makes my problem seem so different or so small or so big or whatever it is. Just reading about other people's stories and other people's like experiences is just gives you so much perspective in life. I think that perspective is very important to be emotionally intelligent. So I would definitely recommend Humans of New York as well.
If you had to start everything again from scratch, from zero, 5 years back, whenever you started, what would be that one profession you would want to start with?
Profession. Interesting. Wow, that's a really deep question, and I don't think ever that I've ever thought about it, and that anyone has ever asked me that. But hmm, I think I would say something related to content itself, because I've always, liked creating content. I've always liked posting on Instagram. I've always liked taking good pictures. So something more creative, something more related to content and writing, where I can combine my writing and photography and content skills and make it into something special. I think that would be something that I would choose. Yeah.
Okay. And if you had the country, let's take where you wanted to start your journey, okay,
hmm
what would
I would say definitely New York. Like I don't know. I think I have a very strange sort of connection with New York. I'll tell you a very interesting anecdote. I was in like 11th or 12th standard or something, and at that point of time, I was still very lame. Okay, I did not know how New York looked like and those skylines and everything. मैंने वो photos नहीं देखे थे, ठीक है? But I still somehow dreamt of those skylines and those things. And then later I got to know that okay, this is like New York. And then after that, I don't know, I just subconsciously or consciously I started following a lot more New York based creators online on Instagram and stuff. Humans of New York, as I mentioned, is one. A lot of big and small New York artists that I'm like, I closely follow, and I really, really believe that there is something in New York that is calling to me, and someday I would visit New York, and someday things would make sense to me. As a kid, my like in college, my dream was to move to New York, be it by like hook or crook. I wanted to move there. Now things have changed. Now I'm like a little more, that it's fine. New York is not the best. It's fine. But still, at the back of my mind, if I ever get the chance to start all over again, and if I had to choose, I would choose New York, because I think just the level of diversity, the breadth of like richness of culture and like everything that it brings, I think that really aligns with what I am, who I am inside, and the kind of experiences that I want to have. So I think, yeah, I would say New York.
okay? And the last thing, this is a fill in the blanks thing, okay?
Okay.
Just go with this. That let's take if you were to say someone that have a lux to do this, okay? So what would that have a lux be?
Okay. Okay. Have a lux to do dash.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So for me, it would be like have a lux to do something that you've never done in life.
Hmm.
Try
Hmm.
something new every day, something like that. So for what is that? If you were to, let's say, motivate someone to say that have a lux to do this, okay, what would
hmm
that?
I would say have a lux to take one step forward, like every single day. I think not feel stuck. I think a lot of us make feel stuck and get busy in just staying where we are, and feel sorry for ourselves, feel sorry for our situation so much that we don't think of taking one step forward for a number of reasons. And I would say just take that one step forward, be it anything, be it writing one line in your book. I think that's a step also. So yeah.
Okay, we're almost here at the end of the whole episode, and Sachi, I love that you took out that some time from your schedule and came here. I love having a conversation with you where I somewhere see that like there are lots of things that align a lot with me, correct? And I love knowing perspectives of how you took things in your hands, chose to have a lifestyle that you wanted and not something that the society puts you in, correct? With that, we are done with today's episode, and I'd love to have you again, but in person.
Definitely. Yes.
Yes, and that would be something that I would enrich a lot. If you have anything to say, just like let's say last thoughts or anything, I would.
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much for this. I really, really absolutely enjoyed doing this, and this was so much fun. This was better than I expected. And thank you so much for hosting me. And I think I had a lot of fun. And for people listening, I would say just follow your hearts, take the risks. At least if you don't have liabilities, if you don't have a lot of responsibilities, if you can do it, do it. There will be a little bit of pain, but there'll be a whole lot of pleasure. So, yeah,
No, no, definitely. We need that heart to take that step.
yeah.
Definitely.